everyone, welcome to the second video in this series from Tiny Year from Colouring Heaven magazine, pictures by Agotapop. It is page 7, February, so we have our Valentine's. It's called Key to My Heart, rather sweet page, and we have this sort of lock to do next. So we're going to come in, we're using Holbein pencils on this page. I think that's probably close enough. Oh, let's try and get it. Yeah, the lock itself is wonky. It's drawn at a slope, so it's not that I've got my book really wonky. You can see it here. Okay, where should we start? Well, we've got our main lock, and then we've got this sort of intricate details and the lock in the middle. I want to do that centre bit black as if we're looking into the hole of the lock, the actual bit where the key goes in, but I'm going to do that last in case it smudges. I'm thinking I'm going to do this silver, and I might do several shades of silver, and I'm going to make silver using greys rather than use the silver pencil. I think the silver pencils in the set are actually very nice, so I'm not avoiding them because they're not nice. I'm just going to show you how to make silver in case you don't have a silver pencil, in case you don't like the silver, and it gives a very different look. So cool greys I find are always the best for silver. So this is cool grey 5. I'm going to start with this, the loop. I don't know if there's a special name for it. And I'm going to put a line of this around the edge. What can hear? Emergency service vehicle going by. Apparently there was some in town. There's a little fire in the basement of our shopping centre, apparently. Nobody was hurt, and the fire engine sorted it out. They had to evacuate, which they did successfully, so it was all good. But it was a bit of excitement in our little town. But I was in town, but I didn't see any sign of it. Now I think I'm trying to decide whether to do, I think I can do another layer of this but lighter. So what you want to do here is press more lightly, if you can be more delicate. Just sweep the pencil across the page lightly. It's not easy to learn how to do this. You could just go down a shade, but I'm going to go down a shade in a minute. There we go. I think for people who colour lightly, this is easy, but trying to get a thick, intense layer is harder. And for people who are more heavy-handed, then it's quite difficult to do what I just did and make it lighter. Right, we're going for cold grey 4 now. I'm just going to give it a sharpen. I emptied my sharpener in between videos because it was a bit full. That's better. And when the sharpenings get very close to the blade, it resists when you try and sharpen it, and makes it can just break the lead. So I'm gonna sort of go over that bit that I did that was a bit light and just extend it slightly. Do the same on this side. So we're sort of heading towards the centre with our grey colour. I went out on my own today. I usually try and drag someone out with me, get them some exercise, but both children refused. And husband not feeling too, was going to come out, but he's sore, got a sore leg, so he's going to the doctor this afternoon. Cool grey 3, I'm going with him actually. See whether they can figure out what it is, and therefore what to do, because looking at, there's a lot of possibilities of what it could be, and some say keep it moving, some say rest it, so it's a bit difficult to know what exactly to do for it, right, that's that bit. So I'm going to go back over all of it a little bit with this light one, just to try and blend it together, eliminate any gaps that I've left and things like that. Just gently working around. There we go, and hopefully, because I've made it darker on the edge, it might make it look a little bit less flat. Now you can see I've deliberately left a white line right through the middle. I'm not sure if I want that there that bright, so what I'm going to do is just go over it really lightly with this, just to slightly eliminate it. I think it looks a bit better. You can leave it really white if you want, but I think it looks better like that. Now I'm going to use the same combo of colours for this outside part here, and maybe the outside part of there. We may have to only use the darker ones, to be honest, because we haven't got a lot of space. But I'm going back to my cool grey 5, and I'm going to put a line all the way around the edge first, so keeping it nice and straightforward. We might end up just using this colour, to be honest. We'll just see. Like that, and then around here. And here. There we go. And then we can do the same on the inside. And as you can see, it leaves quite a small gap. It's quite a thick line that I get from this pencil. The cores are fairly thick. I think that's to try and stop them being so delicate. With it being, you know, with a softer pencil, sometimes the leads can break quite easily. And if they're a little bit thicker, then that protects them a bit. I think Durr won't do that with theirs as well. What I'm going to do now is fill in this gap. Same pencil. Just gently bring in from there and up from there. So I'm going to go in both directions. Just bringing in layers until it's full. Making sure that it's a bit lighter in the middle. And it will give an impression of shine. It might also give us a bit of shape to this bit. Yeah, I walked along the road today. They decided not to go along the canal. It's been raining a lot. Makes it quite muddy. Although there's a path, the path is sort of gravel, which is fine, but because there's so much leaf mulch on it, that just turns to a sort of muddy mess. So in the end, quite a few bits of the path are actually quite muddy. So yeah, I'm just going around the edge again, just to emphasize that edge. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing on our heart. You might prefer just this heart. You might prefer to do it in a red or something, but I'm going to do these as red gemstones, I think, and therefore, and I might put something red behind it as well. So I'm going to do the outline in the silvery colour. Yeah, so I tend to go on the path along the road a bit more in the winter. I've also got, I'm visiting my father-in-law on Sunday. I don't really want muddy shoes. I mean, I could take them off when I get to his house if they're muddy, but I prefer to keep them on. He doesn't have carpets in all of his rooms. Some of the floors are wooden veneer, I think it is, which looks very smart, but my feet get cold. So I like to keep my shoes on. Also, he's not one for shoes off in the house. You know, some people are, some people aren't. It's in my parents' house, my mum always takes her shoes off as soon as she gets into the house. Always does, and I always did as well, growing up. we always found shoes terribly uncomfortable, so I wanted to get them off. Whereas my dad wears his shoes all the time, so when he visits he would never take his shoes off, he would keep them on. And if his feet or shoes were slightly muddy, he would just make sure he wiped them well, he wouldn't take them off. Now I'm going to do something a little bit different for this silvery backing here. I think what we can do is colour it in a more diagonal way and put a shine across the centre. I think it'll be easier. I'm going to give it a go. So I'm going to start off here with a sort of medium pressure. Now I'm going to get darker. So we're going to get a dark line here and then medium again here and then fade to nothing. Okay, and then start again around here and get darker. I've got to try and get it opposite there. And get darker. It's quite tricky. I think I might leave a line there as well, like that. So two sort of diagonal lighter lines. Where I want it darker, I'm actually going to use a darker colour in it a little bit. I'm actually going to go for the Cool Grey 6 and just put, so about here, but sort of fade it in either direction a little bit. I did a bit here. And that is an opposite. That might put that opposite like that. And then maybe a bit there. Okay, so hopefully that looks a bit like it's shiny. It didn't quite fade off enough. That's the problem. There we go. So there is our sort of a bit. There's a different way of doing it. Now, I've got this little circular bit. I'm just going to try and make that look like it's standing up off our lock. So this is number 4. I'm going to go around the edge and then fade it towards the middle. There we go. Now this bit here. Now let's have a think. So the back, I'm going to go for slightly pinky reds on this one. There's some really pretty colours, carmine and madder, and then sort of strawberry, all sorts of lovely things. I think I will go for, yeah, let's go for a rose, actually. Where's that? Now this is more of a pinky red, but that's, so I'm going to put this rose colour in the background of this section. It needs sharpening. I want it to look a bit like a gemstone still, but I want all the bits on top of it to also look like gemstones, so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to carry that off, but I'm just going to block in this area to start with. I think if I add in some black and things like that, it might just help, but we'll see how it goes. And it is a bit of an odd idea having gemstones sitting on gemstones, but I just want it to look really special. I've got some tiny bits in there. And then around this way. It's quite fiddly. You don't have to use this colour. Use your favourite colours if you prefer. But I think I'm probably quite a few of you are with me in saying that I associate sort of pinks and reds with Valentine's. Still got a while to go, of course, before Valentine's, but it's a nice excuse to do some pretty heart pictures, I always think. There we go. Now, around that lock area, I think I want to go for my grey, the Cool Grey 5, so I think I'm just going to do that next before I do my gemstones. Need to sharpen it. There we go. So like I did on this one, I'm going to go around the edge. And then around the outside edge. So this is like the most intense bit. And then gently just sort of bring it in from both sides a little bit, making it a bit lighter in that central area. Fiddly faddly, but we're getting there. There we go. And let's pop that back. I'm not going to do that black centre quite yet. We'll get there. Now, is this the colour I wanted? Yes, the strawberry. It's a really pretty colour. I'm going to use it for the other gemstones. Now I'm going to colour each of these singly. Oh, these are quite small. I'm just going to go around them. Now I will be using some white pen to add some shine later. Like that. Now it's actually showing up bits of the background that I've forgotten, which is fine. This one's going to be a bit fiddly. You don't have to do this in this colour, but I want to do them the same. I'm starting to think I should be looking at what else is here. We've got that flower and ribbon on the top. It's really pretty. I've got a bit of an idea about that. I thought I might go to the more pastel-y tones for that. This really isn't standing out, but I have a plan. I have a two-part plan, actually. How exciting, I hear you all say. What I'm going to do is see if I can find a more pastel-y tone to put over the top of the background colour to tone it down a bit so this one stands out, and then I'm going to get some black. And I can't decide. I think I'm going to put some shadows. Now, pastel first. So, pastel to that rose colour. Oh, are we going to have to go with the cherry blossom? Is that only real pale colour? I can just put my specs back on so I can't see. Let's have a look. Cherry blossom is a little bit too peachy. We could go for I think the fuchsia might work. There we go, fuchsia. I'm going to sharpen it, and I'm going to put that all over the background bit first of all. And it will, hopefully, it will fill in the gaps that I missed. Maybe make it a little bit paler compared to the gemstones. It is working. You can see how it sits on top, which is, it's not transparent. So although I've been layering them up a little bit like I do with polychromos, the fact that, you know, when I try and do this and you can't see through it that well, is a bit more characteristic of most of the Prismacolor pencils. There we go, that's step one. Step two is to go back to my darker colour, which is the strawberry. Give it a sharpen and do a little bit more, because some of them are a little bit too pale. I've just actually put on my magnifying glasses so I can see better, particularly these on this side. So although we want some white, we don't want too much white. Oh, so it looks too pale. Can't see it. You can always put that white back in with a white pen at the end. Okay, right, next I'm going to get a black. And I'm going to do shadowing all around the item, sorry. So underneath here, all around really everything, every space in the black. So we're actually almost overemphasizing the black lines that have been drawn, just so that we can see the edges of all of our shapes really well. It helps them to stand out. My lead's a bit wobbly in this pencil. Okay, sorry, concentrated work leads to not much talking. I think you'd have to concentrate so hard at art, would you? It's got this reputation, particularly in my school, though it was just easy. Really isn't, is it? Just noticed I've got blue pencil on my thumb. That's quite odd. I don't think it's quite hard to get pencil on your skin. I'm sure it is though. I think I've been using a pen. I used blue in the last video, which I recorded just now. Maybe it was then. I'm going to put the black in now, in here. Try to make sure it's really dark. Really want it to look very, very black in there. There we go. Now, before I forget, I'm going to... Ooh, I just moved and some pencils slid about on my desk. That's not the right pen. I'm just going to try and find... I'm trying to find a white pen. This one will be good. This is my Jelly Roll 5, so it's really fine, and I'm going to draw some white. Actually, I'm just going to brush off. I know we haven't finished, but I want to have a go and draw some white lines on the edges of our gemstones in the hope that they'll show up even more. There'll be a contrast to that black that I just put down. I actually find where you put the white isn't always that important, as long as you're consistent. A bit here. There we go. Now our flower and ribbon, as I say, I'm going to go more pastel-y. Let's turn to those. I just know I've got a huge scribble of pencil on my desk. Quite funny. Right, let's turn to our pastels. Now we use the fuchsia actually to go over this background, so I think it'd be quite good to use it for our ribbon as well. So, but I'm going to have to be quite delicate with it, so I'm putting a bit here, and then I'm going to put less here, because where our stem of this little pretty flower is, it's sticking up a little bit, so it's going to be a little bit lighter. And with our knot, we've got, I think this be darker. It'll get a bit lighter on the top, maybe darker there, a little light bit on the top. The ribbon though, not so sure about the ribbon. Might make it dark down here. And then maybe just fade it a bit here, so it's sort of darker and lighter. I like the way that you can layer these up and get a darker and lighter colour with some pastels. You can't, pastel pencils, I mean this isn't a pure pastel colour, but it's in the pastel section. You can't layer them up. It doesn't give you a darker colour, it just gives you a thicker amount of pencil. So I like the fact that you can do that with these. It's rather good. So I'm just gently layering it up until it looks how I want it to look, while I am trying to move my head so I can see. Trying to make sure I'm looking through the right bit of my specs. Now the flower, it's cute, isn't it? I'm thinking cherry blossom. We have got a cherry blossom colour. The only thing is I don't know what colour the centre of a cherry blossom flower is. Does anybody know? Is it white? Is it a delicate yellow? I think I might do a delicate yellow. It would be quite a nice contrast with all the pink that we've got going on. So here it is, cherry blossom. I'm going to try and make it a little darker near the centre and lighter on the edge. And so it's a little bit more of a slightly peachy colour rather than pink. I thought it felt like it was going. Sometimes you can just tell, can't you? It's my packet of pens moving around again. I did pile them up when I tidied my desk. Obviously it didn't like it. I've not fully sharpened it this time and I don't want to risk it breaking. I think I need to go and get a new blade in my sharpener. Make sure it's fully sharp. Yeah, it's certainly not as pink as the ribbon, isn't it? It's very delicate. Let's do that one. There we go. Now the centres I would like to do in quite a delicate yellow. I'm just looking at what I've got. I think the light sand is quite nice. I can use that. Light sand. Give it darker at the bottom. I can. You might prefer to do that in sand rather than pink. I've chosen to do it this way. Now the stem green. I think a misty green is going to go quite well. Again, I need to sharpen it. There we go. So here we are, misty green. I'm just going to fill out the stem really. It's so thin. I'm not sure there's much more I can do with it apart from just fill it with colour. You can see even though that is a very light colour, you can get it reasonably intense, which I rather like. Okay. What I would quite like to do is to use my white pen again to put some dots around the centre of this flower. I'm putting it around the edge where the black line is and in the middle on top of the yellow. I don't know if you can see it. I can. So just to get and make it look a bit like there's some seeds, white dots everywhere. It makes it a little more delicate as well because that centre is quite harsh. There we go. You can go around the edge of the flowers in white if you want, but I think once you start doing that, you have to do it with everything. And I'm quite happy with how it is actually. I'm going to leave it there. So thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we've got some love potions to colour tomorrow, so that's going to be fun. But for now, have a super day and happy colouring.